Well, it's another interesting session of all these things on WrestleFreak FM. Hello, Rare Breeds. Welcome to all these things on WrestleFreak FM, where stories, spirits, and sounds meet. Today, we journey into the heart of healing through art, the power of story, spirit, and memory. Our guest on the show today is the incredible poet and artist Plan B. I always say there's no other plan except Plan B, who reminds us that art is more than an expression, it's a remembrance, transformation, and medicine for the soul. Stay tuned with us as we explore how creativity can help us heal, connect, and remember who we truly are. My name is Oluwatoyin Ojayomi, the one you know as Papa T, the chief representative of the Rare Breeds community on Wrestle Freak FM. Plan B, it's really nice to have you once again on the show.
Thank you so much.
And
I'm happy to be here.
yeah, and we're hey, and just in case, I want you guys to stick with us. There's something big that we're gonna talk about on the show. Plan B is up to a plan, and the plan is plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G to Z, and then we come back to plan B.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you got to stick with us to hear about that. And it's really, really important that we share with you, and we want to get you involved as well. Yeah, plan B. Uh, when we talk about um, expression or remembrance, stuff like that, when you hear such words, what kind of art or expression has ever helped you personally to heal or to process something deep? What form of art expression?
So, multiple arts, but I'd like to say it's a trifecta. It's been music, it's been dance, um, and poetry as well.
Okay. So out of all these three, which one tops the list?
I don't think I can separate them because they're also very potent. I don't think I can separate that.
So
It's
they are like married to one another,
yes,
to one
yes.
another.
They're evenly yoked.
Yeah, I like that. And of course, we're talking about healing through art, the power of story, spirit, and memory. So with that said, when you hear the word healing, what image, what memories or sounds or visualization come into your mind, or what is healing to you?
Some things that come into mind that I consider very healing are shedding tears, getting in large bodies of water, having something come up and to not be emotionally triggered to respond the same way, having another experience happen that maybe I went through when I was a child and I remember what the response was, and just making a completely different situation and being there differently of how I would have wanted. So showing up for little B, but also with my daughter. So that looks like healing as well to me. So there's so many different things. It doesn't have to be the most huge explosive thing to somebody else, but so many things. Or when you get that aha moment and you're like, wow, and this really makes sense, and it just is done. Um, so those like images of those things come, and also the feeling of um letting go and forgiveness. Um, I remember, I mean, really, I remember the day that I forgave my daughter's father, like, and that had carried that weight on me for some years, and then it was over.
I was actually going to ask you, can you recall an experience of pain that you went through and you healed from, and how you did it?
Okay. Ooh. Um, a series of things. Wow. Okay. So, okay, this is really my story. This is good. I had to think about it. Um, Really, honestly, my transformation into a plant-based lifestyle. So how I even got thinking about living different and holistically was I had just finished my master's and I was applying for jobs in my field. And when I was going to apply for a job, it was for a government job and it was very invasive and it asked a lot of personal questions. They wanted to know every time you ever been in a hospital, anytime any medication you ever taken in your life or anything of the sort. Long story short, it was like a 9-month hiring process. And I was on the seventh step and they did things where like they would want you to get on a plane with 4 days notice and go somewhere else and take a test, all
Right.
this. So it was very rigorous. Long story short, it comes down to I'm at the seventh step. They sent me some paperwork and it was 13 pages and they said, take this to your primary care doctor, have him fill it out. And then the last steps for me to do was like take a lie detector test and take, drug tests. So I go to my primary care doctor and my primary care doctor says, these people are very smart. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I know that you're trying to get a job and everything, but I'm not going to be able to fill this paperwork out for you favorably because you see, all 13 pages of this information is about this one pill. So in the past, now I hadn't taken this pill in a year, and my
Right.
primary care doctor gave it to me. And long story short, it was like a weight loss pill at that time that I was trying to do. This was years ago. And it didn't even do that. But I hadn't even taken it in a year, and that's what the question was. It was on that medication, something very simple that I wasn't even on. And so he goes into letting me know that the reason why he couldn't fill my paperwork out favorably is because he starts telling me about all the negative side effects to the pill and how it can some people that take it, they try to commit suicide the first day they take it, how it causes heart murmurs, palpitations. And I didn't experience those things, but it was like, wow, and you still prescribe this every day. So I say all this to say that I will go through all that. He didn't fill my paperwork out. I didn't get the position, which is what I just finished going to school for 6 consecutive years. I'm working hard, you know what I'm saying, to
Right.
do this. And then I can't get it because I took a diet pill a year ago, but nothing happened. So that prompted me to go in to do research. So I, I fell into a big, deep depression, like even huge depression. I was very like just bothered by it. I was hurt. At the same time, it caused me to do research.
Right.
And that research was I looked up that pill and I looked up at all the side effects.
Hmm.
And then from there on, that's when I researched all the pharmaceuticals. And then I researched the food. And then I researched the number one shareholders in the insurance companies. And then I researched the farmers, the seeds, the pesticides and herbicides that's being sprayed on them, the founder of the American Cancer Society, the whole 9 yards. And then in that, I ran into my studies with like Dr. Sebi and Dr. Layla Africa and, people of people of that sort. And I started looking and reading. There's a lot of teachers, I'm just saying, to
Right.
people, but I started looking and reading and understanding like that there was a better way, like that that everything was, you could eradicate everything and take care of yourself. And it comes down mind, body, and spirit to what you do. So after I gained all that information, I didn't do anything with it right away because I was just so mind blown at like all the information that I had received. When I found out that like all the food was fake, when I found out I was like, oh, okay, it's only two people who own all these companies in the world. Like when I found out all those things, it was like mind blowing. You know what I mean? Like, wow, what is going on? From there, I was severely depressed, 284 pounds, had a torn meniscus in both knees, bulging disc in my back, was going through a lot. And long story short, it took from my mother. She got diagnosed with cancer. And then when I knew at that point, I said, oh, I know what I needed to do. I done already researched, read, deep dive all this, but I'm not implementing these things.
Right.
So I said, okay, I can't let that happen to my mother, but I can't tell her to do something and I'm not doing it. And I wasn't feeling well myself. And with that, that's when I changed my life. And so like literally overnight, I went into full blown plant based. I threw away everything, all my pots, pans, seasonings. I was a person, I didn't drink any water or anything before. I couldn't stand the taste of water. I went from that to starting drinking a gallon of water a day. At that time, I went to intermittent fasting, so I got down to 1 meal a day. I looked like I said, I started making my own toothpaste, my own deodorant, like cleaned everything up from top to bottom. And in the midst of that, I also did that with my daughter and implemented that with my parents. And so my mother, she was able to get better within 33 days. Like she had a lot of issues. And just through natural healing and herbs and replacing a lot of the items that we use on a daily basis that are very toxic, it was the greatest healer of that. Like my mother got rid of diabetes, cancer, osteopenia, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And this was just through the power of herbs. And she was very afraid because she had been on her medication for years. And I'm like, well, look, are you let's she cold turkey. And the most high, not only did he do a huge transformation for my mother, but for myself, because I lost 60 my first 68.4 pounds in 2 months, and 2 months and 1 week. And I never once went to the gym. Okay. And I wasn't counting calories or anything of the sort. So like 11 days into my journey of me just literally starting with sea moss and water and
Right.
taking some herbs and just being on 1 meal a day, like I didn't go back to the doctors again. Like I was in physical therapy. I was in pain. I was in physical therapy. I was going to the chiropractor, and I also was getting like I was in pain management. I was getting cortisone shots and all kinds of stuff like that. And I would need to have surgery. Within 11 days, it was like the most high lifted 800,000 pounds off my shoulders. And like, I just completely felt lighter. My depression, my anxiety, which was also something I had battled with lifelong, but
Right.
was even worse from the past 2 years. Cause I'm like, man, I just went to school. I just did all this. I worked so hard. Why is it, so difficult? I'm looking at things in a different mind state. And that was the greatest awakening, really, and healing for me, to heal myself with my mother,
Hmm.
introduce it to my daughter. And that was just that was just powerful. Just the lifestyle change and becoming more self sufficient. And
And
so
that
that's
that
where.
that must have been a long journey. Um, a long journey, maybe not by calendar, but the transition from pain to awakening to action and then to healing. That's compressed, is quite a lot. And I think it's not for the weak hearted, I'd say. It takes a lot of resolve to be
Yes.
able to, you know, go along that trajectory, and change things. But speaking of healing and pain, do you personally think that healing through art is something we we can learn, or is it something that happens to us when we create? Like I had Tyler No Perry.
Hmm.
He came and and he discussed
That's my
how,
brother.
yeah, maybe an amazing guy.
Hmm.
And he said how poetry saved me. And he talks about how poetry as an art form was responsible, for his transition into a relative amount of healing. So, in your opinion, as far as Plan B is concerned, do you think that healing through art is something that we can learn, or is it something that happens to us when we create?
I think that I think it's a duality. It can be a duality. However, I feel that it's already really within us and it's already happening. And I think that the limitation comes where we place certain titles or names so that when we don't even feel like we're actually creating and we are creating, because my life is moving poetry. So although I just started picking up the pen specifically to write, which shout out to 1110 was my 2 year poetry anniversary. And so here we are on 11/11. It's a powerful day. It's a great manifesting day. But neither here nor there, like we be creating. We already are being. This a lot of this is already embodied coming from us. And so yes, some things can be learned totally, but everything is already within us and it's just unlocked, or we just may not be framing it or looking at it that way. And I have a whole different perspective of looking on that, even in applying to myself, from so many things. And it could be just as simple as like when I was growing up, art was like, what was considered art was like, painting on a canvas.
Mhm.
Like that's it. Like you're an artist
Right.
like that. Or, as far as like just what it was scoped around, like, yeah, you was an artist, but they were like, you're a singer, your music. They weren't like you were an artist.
Yeah.
Like that's how it was kind of shaped, you know what I mean? But I was actually doing a lot of things, multidisciplinary, but it just was like looked at as like a hobby or something. And it was like, no. So like I said, I just think it's important to try to leave the loose constraints, because I think we just get into our mind and overthink them things, and we're just really already we're already effortlessly creating. It's already flowing. It's just if that you capture that moment, that you understand that, or can you reflect upon that?
Let's take a music break. I have the gift of a song for you, like we always
Okay.
do on the show. Today, I'm going to play the song by Temi Oyedele, um, a multicolored artist from Nigeria. She's into soul, gospel, jazz, you
Okay.
know, and spoken word. She calls this one Pilgrims, and that's our gift to you on the show. Before we come back and talk about uh, other aspects of healing through art. They would, and we're talking about the power of story, spirit, and memory. I want to continue that discussion with you, that conversation. But right now, let's give you a piece of music to just chill. Here it is.
We are pilgrims passing by. We've got to travel light. We are strangers moving on, restless till we get home. We are exiles, homeward bound, searching for the northern star. We're sojourners for a while, nothing to hold on tight. Hang up your hang-ups, hang up your fears, hang up the things that bring you tears, hang up the regrets, hang up the pride, hang up the system that feed you lies, hang up the fighting, hang up the strife, hang up the shadows that block the light, hang up your hang-ups, hang up your fears, hang up the things that bring you tears. 'Cause we are flowers melting in the noonday sun, 'cause we are candles blowing in the evening wind, 'cause we are rainbows fading in the afternoon, 'cause we are people searching for a perfect place. We are pilgrims passing by, and we've got to travel light. We are strangers moving on, restless.
The music of Timi Oyedele, all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, and it's entitled Pilgrims. Actually, there are two versions of this song on the album, which is entitled uh, Temilolua. This is the acoustic version of the song. Of course, we have another one called the Africa Society Mix, something like that. Hopefully, when
That's beautiful
you
though.
got to come again if you want to hear that, if you want to listen to the next version, to the other
Okay, okay.
version. So
So
now
that,
I have a reason to bring you again. You
yes,
want
Lord.
you want to listen to the song, make sure there's something else we got to talk about so you can come again. But that was a gift from us to you on Rest Africa
Thank you
FM on
so
all these
much.
things
I
to
received that.
have you chill. We are on all these things, where music connects, where cultures connect, where everything deep and profound connect. and where the right souls converge to have soulful conversations. And I am still your regular host, Papa T. Oluwatoyin Jeremy. We're talking about healing through art, the power of story, spirit, and memory. Plan B, how does storytelling or poetry connect you as a person to your own roots, your ancestry, or your culture, if it does at all?
Listen, that's a beautiful question. It has connected me so much, more than I could even imagine. So through going back in the healing process of thinking about some traumatic times that I experienced before in my life, um, I was able to go back and write down, and I formulated a poem, but I wrote the poem from the end to the beginning. Okay. And it wasn't, it was, I was trying to remember what happened to me because it was a near death experience. So it was very traumatic. And so I remembered an act happened, but I'm like, what happened before then? And I'm like, so what happened right beforehand? So I wrote the poem and from the ending first to the beginning. But in the process of remembering what happened to me, so me, I was running in the dark and I'm running away. I'm running away from one of my exes. And I look up and I see the moonlight. And so the moonlight is hitting my face. But in the instance of me remembering me running, I was able to see someone else running in my bloodline, but they were running through the woods. Okay. And they were referencing the stars. And so in that moment, it even made me understand and feel a little bit more better, like this has happened before, this has happened with my people. So what I was experiencing really wasn't an isolated experience. However, it brought me great comfort to know that number one, we made it through. I made it through, and because I've made better decisions, moving forward, I know I've broken a generational curse. I'm no longer in domestic, you know, violence relationships. You know, I'm not dealing with that, and hasn't been for years. But that was a real thing just to come through and trace back. So it's the imagery of catching, of just remembering and remembering, because sometimes trauma can be so severe that it'll block your memory, be blocked out to preserve your mind for that moment. But it's not always bad to go back. Was in a time of sadness that I actually made a lot more sense and resonated and made me feel that much better about the work that I've done. Um, and
The what you just the storytelling you just did now, was it a lucid dream or was it like a vision?
this was a vision.
It
This
was a
was
vision
live.
because everything you're saying took me to a book that I read by James Redfield. It's called The Celestine Prophecy. And then there's another one I read, I think it's called The Secret of Shambhala. And it pretty much talks about this thing you're talking about, where people have dreams while they sleep, or sometimes it's a lucid dream where you're having that dream, but you're awake in the dream. And it takes you back, it digs back into uh, some time in the past, and it helps you to come face to face with why what is happening to you right now is happening. That is for those who believe in past lives, in rebirth and all that. So that's pretty much what the book was saying, and you're bringing the whole thing that I read into mind, where you know it takes you into like an archive,
Hmm.
of what's happened before and why it's happening now, so that it helps you to reconcile. And sometimes you realize that you're blaming some people that you think they caused you pain, whereas they brought you a gift.
Exactly.
you
It's
know
about the paradigm shift. It,
yes.
it is, and taking your power back and understanding. Uh,
Yeah. As far as you're concerned, what do you think? What role do you think memory plays? In how we express ourselves, as individuals, as creatives, or as communities.
oh, it's so very important. And even with my memory of going back in the process of filling in some blanks that I were just gone because I was in survival mode. You know what I mean? For a period of time. The memory is so, it's a gift. It's a gift because going back and actually that's what I like though. Like going back and being able to be an observer and not being absorbing and seeing what's actually going on. And once you've done a little bit of work and you can accept your responsibility and your role, um, in your contribution into your own suffering as well, because we have to look at ourselves. It's not really about always someone else or projecting or finding someone to blame, but there's also difficult questions that we have to ask ourselves and be willing to do that. So it will ask you to come back to, okay, let me remember. I kept coming across this same pattern, kept presenting itself over and over and over again. Where is my common denominator in that? And also what was going on, what I'm saying, what was going on with them. And also once you start understanding and seeing people's story without knowing their story and being able to see it, then this is where you also have that more compassion for yourself and for them, because you're just like, wow, they were that hurt and this is what they were doing. Not that it negates what they did, but you can understand. And for me, that helps like how a person got there a little bit more. It's not always the case, but it's like, show compassion, because you can look at it. You might need that extra amount of grace yourself. You might need that little bit of compassion yourself. And you just never know. And then also being grateful, like, wow, it could have turned out this way. And we always look at it as a negative connotation sometimes, like, man, I should have never. But it's like, no, a lot of times that's redirection. A lot of times that was a gift, and I look at some of the most traumatic things like, oh, wow, this situation still could have been way worse. So your memory is very important to fill in those gaps, to go back to a time where you can even remember where all this stuff wasn't going on, and to tap back and remember and reconnect with your younger self, your inner child. And I also think that it serves as it's a it's a great way to document how far you've come, where you're going. And also when you are documenting what went on with you, then that's when you can go back and see into the story a little more clear. And for me, that was huge too, because as I was documenting some experiences like with my parents and things that they go through, I'm like, wow. But see, my grandma, which I didn't know that much because she didn't say, she was going through the same thing. And you go ahead and see how the storylines adds up. And these are even when people aren't speaking about it, but you're observing like, wow, they had the same sickness, the same illness, the root of this, where is this? And you can just really go back through there once you start like digging more into self, into the modalities, to understanding how it works. It's not just so much scientific if you want to, even though it is a science in itself, but like reading the face, reading the tongue, reading, just understanding those things and where those emotions, where those emotions come from, like with the spleen. Okay, the spleen's associated with overthinking, and like liver, kidney, there's a lot of different, is a different emotion attached to each organ. And so once and someone is going through something, so you may not have known your great great grandmother, but you could have known that they always tell you like, oh, your grandma had cancer, they just had this, that. Okay, so let's look at this. Oh, okay, so their liver. Okay, so let's associate. So it tells a story. Like people were going through things, so you can look at it through that. Even if you didn't get an opportunity to meet them, to physically talk to them, or if you haven't connected with them some kind of way that you can feel in this way, just through examining and writing and remembering your people and what they like to do. Oh yeah, my grandpa, he always called me sweet cakes. Oh, okay, he had cancer. Oh, okay, that sugar. Oh, okay, my grandma had diabetes. Like, and it tells a story. So the memory is so good. It's so great to reflect upon these things and to understand and to process. It tells you a whole nother story that you wouldn't even have recognized.
Something popped in my mind while you were talking, and I thought to ask you, how do you think, I mean, in your opinion, how do you think we can break karmic patterns of pain through the arts?
Oh, so listen, I think it's beautiful. So first of all, talking about things and expressing it, because a lot of times we hold things in. So we're suppressing our breath, we're suppressing our spirit, we're just sitting on this. So that creates stagnation and the energetic flow is blocked. So where the energy is blocked, and then you're going to have an issue that's going to manifest in the physical. So you know how they say like, oh, she died of a broken heart, and the doctor may not be able to say, oh yeah, it was this, but in real life she did transition to another phase based off of that, the blockage in the heart chakra. Like, love is the highest frequency, you know what I mean? So this is what's needed. But I'm sorry, run that question one back one more time. I gotta say I tried.
Yeah, no, that it's perfectly okay. How can we break
Oh yeah.
repetitive karmic patterns
Okay.
of pain
Mm-hmm.
through healing,
Okay.
through the arts?
Okay, so yes, through number one, once you write it down, once you tell your story, once you let it out, once you let it flow, then you're aware of it. Okay, and then actually you do something with it. You actually do something. So I mean, it's like um the best way I can put it is I mean, one day you're smoking and then the next day you're not. You know what I'm saying? So you could be talking about it one
Right.
day, then you can write down and say, I'm going to switch it up. And then you actually do it. And then it's like, okay, boom. So it's like, all right, you give yourself this permission to tell your story, to share it without judgment. Then you can be the observer of it without absorbing it. And you're actually acknowledging it. And then you can see what to do with it. So it could be helpful to talk about it, to share it, to put your spin to it, and then it turns into how whatever you want it to turn into. But that is a healing process through it.
One of the tools that I've personally identified as something that could be used to approach what you're talking about is free form writing. You know, I see you agreeing with me with that nod. What is the role of free form writing in channeling healing through the arts, and how is it used?
I feel like I use it all the time because I'll just be getting a message. I could be driving down the street, having a conversation, a very high intellectual conversation that's feeding my spirit with my contemporary music's going at the same time. And then boom, it comes to me all the same time while the radio's playing, they're talking, I'm driving in traffic, and I just have to write it down on a free form and it comes together and it's a whole thing. It comes. That's where a lot of my creativity, it'll just come to me. I can be driving. A lot of times when I'm driving, it's like when I'm driving, so many things come. And free form writing. And that's what I also end up getting the app because I'm like, doggone, sometimes I can't actually write. So I'll do the voice memo. Shout out to my brother Mello. He was like, yeah, use that. I'm like, okay. So I started using that some time ago and it's helpful, but it really comes from me. And it's not, usually it's not, I'm just sitting down and I'm like, okay, I need to write a poem. Like, no, it doesn't normally happen like that. So I love the free form writes. And then when I do sit down and you just write it down and you see it, we do like a lot of nitpicking and critiquing of ourselves. So it's like, no, look at how beautiful this is. Look at this is a piece. And like I said, it's just a simple conversation. We're having a conversation. It's poetry right now, but however you want to, you know what I mean? However you want to flip it.
Mhm. We're talking about healing through art with Plan B today. Healing through art, the power of story, spirit, and memory. And it's been quite an intense conversation. She got me hooked on all the things she's saying, and she reminded me of some of my own stories as well. And somewhere down the line, I thought the past, the present, or the future, which one of them inspires you the most in creativity?
Well, I would say
Because we delve into these
yeah.
three.
So you know what? I want to piggyback. It's going into the same thing. So when you were also talking about how does it heal through the arts? So look, for me personally, like writing, writing from a perspective of me remembering something that happened to me and I'm hurt about it. Then writing again about the same situation once I come back and I see like, oh, well, this is what was really going on. And I can kind of put that like in relationship to my parents, like you kind of go through stages. So it's like I have pieces where I talk about like, well, I wasn't really pleased with what they were going on. Then there's another piece where I can see I'm talking about where this is what they've experienced, X, Y, Z. And then I have another piece where I'm like, I have compassion and I understand how they got to that point. So it's a healing process and a step. And so I don't know if I answered that clearly when we were saying that, but I just thought about that. I'm like, oh no, this is what I've done. So you like as an artist and arting coming out. But yes, that's what I've done specifically, even with my parents. And I'm able to see the stages and where I've forgiven, I've forgiven them, I've let go. And it's not about just putting somebody on blast or, for what they say and just talking about this. It's a stages in the story. And so there's your own healing process through that.
I had to ask you that question because I have written and recorded some songs that were inspired by the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I sit down to write and just a little drift into the past, a scenario, an experience, a friendship, a relationship brings back a trail of words that by the time I finished writing, I felt I have to record this. And then I record and people listen. And it's like I'm telling the story of many people. Now, there were times when through pain, blended or supported or encouraged or by hope takes me into the future. Like it's pain at the moment, but I look into the future, and what you see in the future is the reason you're able to write something really golden.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I always ask, people say forget about the past. But what if some of the best things that keep you going, memories in your soul are from the past? Do you want to align with what the masses say and live your own place of truth? What's your opinion on that?
Oh man, listen, you talking my language. Okay. Slap me and call me Susie. I'm happy now. He just said it. Listen, I like to create my own lane. I can walk into any life or line that I desire. And the past, I do derive from the past a lot. And I look at the past as being futuristic and linear at the same time, because in those times where you were like a child, maybe before any of these things, certain things happened, and you were in that theta state and it's a pure, like that is really the futuristic state
Right.
of how we build in the future. So tapping, remembering and tapping back into that, and where we let go of all these other mundane worldly things on our mind capacity, when you can just, okay, I want to see and feel, touch everything with my hands and my feet, and I want to color and I want to do this. It's complete creative mode, and you're in touch with yourself. So I think I love the past as well and the present. And I feel like they're all tied and it's all in the same, especially when you tap into the past because you're in the future.
How has the past, the present, or the future affected your creativity or the things you bring to life? Which one is your favorite place to be to bring out the best of your creativity or to birth new works? Is it the past? Is it the present? Or is it the future? Because some people like Eckhart Tolle would say that there's power in now. There's a book he wrote and it says the power of now.
He also has a book, I think it's a yellow book called New Earth.
New Earth, yeah.
Okay.
So the question is, a lot of spiritual directions or schools of thought say now is the gift that we all have. As true as that is, we are told to hold on to now. But what if what we're experiencing right now is not healing to the soul?
Mm-hmm.
What if our own personal place to be to get healed is to go into the past? You got to figure that out. Let us know in the comment section, whatever, wherever you go, that takes you into that place of healing.
That was good. You was, listen, I was like, that was good. Dang, you gonna leave him like that, Papa T? You gonna leave him? That was good.
Yeah, because you made it easy for me to ask these profound questions that, I always like to share with, a kindred soul. So today, it's just perfect that we're talking about healing through, the art and weaving the power of story, spirit, and memory together. It's just the right moment for this conversation. Now, talking about you and your artwork, your performances, have you ever experienced a performance or artwork that made you feel seen or extraordinary as Plan B?
Yes. That's like a lot. um so dang, Papa T. I don't know. I do know, but I have. Let me just say that. So I've experienced it in multiple aspects. I'm just thinking in my mind, like, oh, what I want to share. Maybe
Now we're going to the past. We're digging.
I would say I would say going to see the orchestra, the Cleveland Orchestra, because I played the violin for 14 years. Um, Going and just actually hearing them live in the flesh, it encouraged me. It just invigorated me. I went home. I was on my violin going crazy. And I just felt alive. I'm like, oh, wow, you can do anything. Like, I really felt like I could do anything based off of just the vibration and frequency of actually sitting there and experiencing and seeing so many beautiful people in sync and in harmony. It just, music, I love music. It just, it touches me. I'll be having sensations and and a vivid mind thought about things. It's a beautiful thing.
So we're going to talk about that thing you've been working on for a while. And this is it. I'm going to put it up here. It's, what do you call it?
We are the dandelions.
We are the dandelions.
Yes.
The dandelions that a lot of people are so eager to kill.
Yes. Yes.
So, what is the correlation between us being that aspect of nature or creation that others want to kill? Is it poetic? Is it literal? Or is it literary? We are the dandelions. What's the story behind it?
So it's all in one. So the dandelions, yes, as you brought out, they're really frowned upon. They're frowned upon as an eyesore. They're intrusive airborne weed. Most people, they're spraying their yard. They're doing everything that they possibly can to get rid of them. And like you, people be getting judged by not having a well manicured lawn, which is really kind of insane. However, I understand where the complex comes from. And the same as that goes on, that we as people experience that frowned upon, put behind bars, mowed down in the streets, sprayed. But the greatest thing about it, though, is that no matter what actually happens, we're very resilient. Them dandelions come back up. It don't matter who's spraying. It doesn't matter if you build a building over them. There, a dandelion will come up in a whole concrete sidewalk, a driveway, out the side of a building. No one's watering on, no one's fertilizing anything. And that is the same from us. We keep coming back. We come back no matter what. We are infinite beings. This has been proven scientifically. When I was here with Papa T last time, I did my poem called Never Lacking, which covers Henrietta Lacks, our ancestor. Her cells are still living 70 years later, and she transitioned from her body from cervical cancer. But what they did is her cells continue to grow, and multiply in a petri disk. They run a couple Nobel Peace Prizes for this. Her cells are in every vaccination, used for so many things, like future technology right there from the past. It's over 70 years. So it's a proven fact with quantum sense. We keep regenerating. It just, the energy just transforms, transitions to another form of state. So the same as this happens, we're no different than the dandelions. We go through a lot of things. It's looked at as ugly, looked at as nothing, but they're very rich. They're very abundant. It's the medicine that we need. They come up in all the areas that they're everywhere, number one. But if you feel like you're in an area that is limited on resources and it doesn't look pleasing to the eye, and you don't have close transportation to get, fresh food, or the only thing that's really in your community is a liquor store, a church, an abortion clinic, and a 7-Eleven. But on your way walking to that 7-Eleven, you're going to be walking over all kinds of good medicine, like the dandelions, wild plantain leaf, red clover, purslane. You'll be walking over all those things, and those are actually, and you're just passing over it like it's nothing.
Right.
But it's not. It's medicine. Is everything that you need. It's a heavy metal detoxer. It helps your liver, your kidneys, your skin, regulate your blood sugar. What do people we deal with? We deal with a lot of diabetes in our community, all these things, and it's free right there. You can use every form of the plant. And so my whole point is to shift the perception and to give hope and to understand that, listen, we are not limited. There is a lot of things going on in this world.
Mhm.
And if you're tuned into the news and watching everything, it could be pretty overwhelming and you could succumb to a lot of different things. I choose not to. I choose to focus on what is actually what I have, which we have a lot. Everything we need is within us, and we actually are in abundance. It's just me. You got coming back to remembering. So we're also part of. Everybody's like, oh, go out in nature. There's no okay. Well, all the minerals that's found on the earth is found within your body. Okay, there's no separation. We're very connected and we're interconnected, and we utilize each other. So the point is that there's resiliency, that there's power in the dandelion, and that no matter what is actually going on, we still come back in the most adverse conditions or situations. We thrive. We come back. We're abundant, and anything that the Most High makes multiplies and reproduces itself in abundance all the time. You don't have to worry about it running out.
This show, remember at the beginning of today's episode of All These Things, I said Plan B has something she's been working on, and that's the climax of this episode of All These Things. This show, we are the dandelions. It says, come for a sprouting experience. It's coming up on the 28th of November, 2025. It says doors open 7 p.m. Show begins at 8:15 through 11 p.m. And it says one of the things to look, the venue is Breakthrough Sounds Recording Studio, 716 Granger Road, Valley View, Ohio, 44125. And the ticket is $25
Through Eventbrite.
through Eventbrite.
Yep, you can go to Eventbrite and you can copy and hit the link and you can purchase your tickets there. But yeah, this is a call. This is a remembrance. This is an empowerment, and it's going to
Right.
be shown. It's not just poetry at all. This is a multidisciplinary. It's going to be metaphysics. It's going to be frequency healing. It's going to be healing as soon as you walk in the door, whether you know it or not, that has been intentionally set to raise the vibration as a whole, and to not only just point out the things that are going on and make you aware, which is good to be aware, but I'm a solution-based person, and this is why we need to go with the plan Bs. We have options. We have options.
And the flyer says, join Plan B for a soulful evening of healing, art, and remembrance, where poetry, visual arts, education, and metaphysical storytelling bloom into one powerful production. This is more than a show, it is a return to self, a return to nature, featuring live performances, wellness specialists, and spiritual teachings that remind us how resilient we are and how many options, plan Bs, we truly have. The date, once again, is Friday, November 28th, 2025. Time, 7 p.m. till 11 p.m. The show begins actually at 8 o'clock. Doors open at 7 o'clock. The location, once again, is Breakthrough Sound Studios, 7615 Granger Road, Valley View, Ohio, 44125. And if you're watching right now, we have the flyer on the screen, and there's the QR code. Just scan it, and it's going to solve the rest of the problem for you.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah, for more information about this show between now and the 20th, you can send a DM to Plan B on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. You can also send to Resto Freak FM on our social media channels. And definitely, we assure you, we're going to send the messages to her. Your comments or your inquiries, we're going to send to her. My name is Oluwatoyin Ojeyomi, the one you know as Papa T. And by God's grace, the chief representative of the Rare Breed community of Resto Freak FM. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube at Resto Freak FM. I want to thank you so very much, Plan B, for coming on the show, for daring to be vulnerable with us, to teach with us, to learn with us, and to talk about healing through art, the power of story, spirits, and memory. It's been a very, very rich and enriching experience today.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I want to wish you all the best on the show. And once again, people, don't forget, This is more than a show, it is a return to self, a return to nature, featuring live performances. I love that. Wellness specialists and spiritual teachings going to get metaphysical. And all these things remind us of how resilient we are, like she says, and how many options, how many plan Bs we truly have. From me to you, enjoy the rest of the weekend and its peace, love, and blessings. Bye for now.